Most people think to stand out in this business, you need to be the first one on top of the story or the person with the loudest voice or the biggest ratings. In truth, to stand out in the news business, you just need to ask the right questions and demand the right answers.
Welcome back to the next edition of TweetLines Plus. The reason why TweetLines Plus is the way it is that I do want to present a alternative view in the media. Most media, well, all media has this bias to a certain degree, and you either have bias to the left or bias to the right. That's your primary choice right now. But there's no real independent news out there. A lot of people call themselves independent. They all call themselves alternative, and I've talked about this before. If you look down below, it's their license on YouTube, and you see standard YouTube license. That basically means that they are not alternative because they are using the Digital Millennium Copyright Act in order to protect their stuff. In other words, they're stifling free speech, and you cannot be call yourself anti-establishment or an alternative when you're using the establishment's tools of censorship. That's the contradiction. You know, Alex Jones said, I'm an alternative. You know, mainstream media, look at what they're doing to liberal media, right? You know, how biased they are, right? And you look down below, you see all his stuff is copyrighted. And Glenn Beck is the same thing. He's talking about, how the liberals are destroying the First Amendment. You look down below. He cares about the First Amendment. He cares about the Second Amendment. You know, the right to bear arms. They're coming to take our guns. You look down below and see what type of a constitutionalist he is. He's got all his stuff copyrighted, and you can't get access to his stuff. Right? Daniel Yergin's the same way, right? He's from PBS. He does a lot of these sort of educational shows. He does a lot of it on oil and stuff like that. He did a whole series on oil. He actually did 2 series on oil. Copyrighted. And he actually is active in taking down materials that are his and says they're copyrighted. So this guy claims to be for free speech. He claims to be on the liberal side of things, and what do we see? We see him taking down materials using the Digital Millennium Copyright Act to censor. In other words, he's actually, I put up there, and I put the law actually states and allows you to use copyright material without permission if it's for educational purpose or for journalism, stuff like that. You know, you're not supposed to be able to censor news channels. You're not supposed to censor education. And I had clearly put that up. I actually put a link to the law in the not only the videos but also in the playlist. Didn't care, didn't matter. Taken down, strike against my news channel. Copyright strike against my news channel. And the thing is, this is censorship, and he knows it's censorship. But the thing is that a lot of these people don't care because they are not they're not really anti-establishment. They're establishment. They're there to sell you a piece of something. They're there mostly for business to make you believe that they are on your side or they believe in free speech, and it doesn't mean anything. This is a sales pitch. Here, this is not the case. If you look down below, it says Creative Commons free speech license. Right? In my description, I have a free speech license in there. Because Creative Commons is not a free speech license. It has certain restrictions to it. But it's the only one that's listed other than the YouTube copyright law. The YouTube standard licenses, which is basically copyright. So I put on my channel, I put down a little in the description there about free speech. That my channel supports free speech, and that's what I have at the end of all my videos. Free speech rules here. This is the rules for my video. There's no copyright on it. You can take and do whatever you want to do with my videos. Sorry about this. Whatever you'd like without my permission. You don't have to ask. This is what free speech is all about. Free speech is about freedom of expression, freedom of thought, freedom of religion. But yet we see on the left with the Hillbots continuously, even though we talk about being for free speech, violating this as soon as they feel it's not within their own interest. In other words, it's free speech as long as you agree with what I am saying. that's the liberal point of it. This is the Hillbots. This is Hillary Clinton, and it's even to a certain degree this is what Bernie Sanders is all about. And the thing is that this is the whole question we go into: why Donald Trump and not Bernie Sanders, right? If you're a Sanders supporter, right? Question is, did Bernie Sanders sell? Yeah, he sold out. But the thing is, I knew he was going to sell out. I didn't think that he would go all the way and say, okay, yeah, I'm going to beat Hillary Clinton. I never thought that he would do that. Because this is the way socialism works. Socialism brings in the idea, gets you riled up, gets you going, and then it falls in line with its leadership. It never actually becomes anti-establishment. And you can sort of see this on RT. RT is further to the left than most of the. Well, you could say it's further to the left. Right now, the only issue with RT, if you're looking at RT, the only issue with RT is that it's called Russia Today, and it's run in Moscow. Now, a lot of people assume incorrectly that this is a heavily biased channel, that this is a Putin channel, and it's not. You look at the number of the. You would say you could argue, okay, this is a left channel, this is a leftist channel, because you look at Tom Thurman, whatever his name is. I got to remember what his name is. He's on RT. Tom Hartman, I think, something like that. He's got this show called The Big Picture. It's basically a liberal rag. It's a liberal left rag, and he continuously leaves out information that would contradict his position. So he's continuously looking at the left from a very biased perspective. Even though it says, "Oh yeah, well I'm looking at the big picture," that we're going to give you news that the liberal media, now this is the other thing that the corporate media won't give you. In other words, so on the right, for Alex Jones and Glenn Beck, it's the liberal media, right? And on the left, it's now the corporate media. And here's the little problem, right? Because now a number of them are all supporting, and this includes the Young Turks, who are also copywritten. They're on the left. The Young Turks are copywritten, but they're on the left. They're all supporting Hillary Clinton now. And all the issues are simply being ignored. So they'll come up with a phrase, and they'll come up with maybe a quip that, oh yeah, Hillary Clinton has some of these problems, but they're no worse than any other politician. So they're all corrupt, they're all bad. So let's just have a woman with politicians. So it comes down to the equator, right? The equalizer. Since they're all bad, all politicians are bad. Why not vote for Hillary Clinton and have the first woman president in history? Right? Make history. First woman president. We had a black president, right? Because all politicians are bad. So we had an election of the black president. Now we're going to have a woman president. And that's the logic. That's the thinking behind things. But let's look at this more carefully. And this is what we talk about. The title today would be actually why vote for Trump. And let's say that you're not simply a bullshit activist. A bullshit activist is an activist who talks and does absolutely nothing. You can see this with feminism. You can see this when they talk about the difference between, Bill Clinton actually raped people and Hillary Clinton supported him. Right? She called the women bimbos even though they were sexually assaulted. They talked about sexual harassment, and then you have a president coming on to a 19-year-old intern. And again, it's not a question, people, she really wanted it. Well, the thing is some girls in this pressure situation, they're not going to say yes, but they're also not saying no either. So they don't want to say they don't want to say no to the person, but I think that's the problem. They can't verbalize what they want, and so they feel stuck. They feel trapped, and they simply go along, even though this is not specifically what they wanted. So just because someone is in this situation doesn't necessarily mean that they want what's happening to them or enjoying it. It's just simply, this is the situation that they're in. They feel trapped in the situation. They don't know what to say or how to say no. And this is the end result. And the end result is when you see it later on, they have these same psychological problems that people who have been sexually abused have. These are the same type of problems. And so you can't say, okay, this is this woman's fault simply because she wasn't able to say no. And this is a situation when the person is passed out or drunk. You know, if you're not in a position to give clear consent, and this is, in other words, you're going in with this intention of being randomly sexual, then the consent isn't there. And the thing is, in order to have consent, you also have to have capacity of consent. And this is the situation with Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky. Monica Lewinsky was not in a position she would have the capacity of consent. There was no clear capacity because she was in an element that she was not specifically kind of, because he was the president of the United States. And at 19, when you're with the president, someone who is of that stature, in many cases, and because he did have cult status, he was very popular. You're not going to have the presence of mind to say, "Hey, no, I don't want to do this." You're going to be in awe of the person. The ability to speak is going to be somewhat either totally impaired, or completely shut off, so they're functionally mute, or you're going to be significantly impaired to the point where you cannot verbalize, "Hey, I don't want to do this." But this was completely ignored. The left completely ignored this. Even though when it was a Supreme Court Justice nominee, Clarence Thomas, he made comments, and he made comments. And this is the same thing Donald Trump. Donald Trump made offensive comments to women. He made a comment. Bill Clinton did not make a comment. He acted. And there's no outrage from the left. There's no... But the feminists have not even tackled this issue. They've completely ignored it. And so you understand that these people, they talk. But they're there only talking for political purposes. If it's not within their political interest, it's not within the political cause, they don't care. That's what I talk about the left. The left is there for a political cause. If you were really an activist, if you're really an independent, then you vote for Donald Trump. Why? Not because you like the guy. I'm not white. I'm Pan-Asian. My people, and this is my grandmother, is from the Asiatic side of Greece. She's from more on the Turkish border. Actually, maybe many people say it's inside Turkey. That's part of the Orient. My mom is from Syria. That's part of the Orient. And the thing is that when you say that people are being abused, when you say that people, and you actually want to do something, then you actually want to get out and actually do something. You want to do. Let's say you have you see a lot of poor people. You want to give a person a sandwich. You want to give them something to eat. You do that. A lot of poor people, particularly the beggars on the street, they don't just simply want a coin. They want someone to talk to. Sit down and talk to the person for a bit. Say hello. Make eye contact. Treat them like a human being. But a lot of people don't. Even when they give money, right? They drop a coin in. They're not making eye contact. They're just and walking on by. And that's it. No conversation, no hello, no good afternoon, nothing. This isn't activism. This isn't proper. This isn't real charity. This is your conscience kind of feeling guilty. I got to give this guy some money and on your way. So in other words, it takes 2 seconds out of your day to fill an obligation. Filling an obligation is not charity. This is not philanthropy. Philanthropy actually means love of man. And this is not, again, and we'll get into this at a later time, about homosexuality and why homosexuality is a myth. And some of the myths about homosexuality. Real love is about affection. It's not sexual. And the real philanthropy is about the affection and caring of mankind. And for those of you who want to be politically correct about things, policeman refers to man, the species, not the gender. And this is the same thing here, is that a lot of times when you're doing a general essay and you're talking generally about a person, you use he, him, you use the pronoun for man. But you're not referring to the gender, you're referring to the species, so therefore he and him have no specific gender. So it includes both genders. And biologically, there are no more than male and female. There is no other gender other than these two. This is biology. But if you don't care about biology, you don't care about reality, maybe you're a lot of the socialists now are postmodernists, where everything is about concept and the world is an illusion. This is what Neil deGrasse Tyson said, that his view is that from research that one can now state that the universe is probably an illusion. Well, if everything's an illusion, then laws don't matter, taxes don't matter because taxes are an illusion, money doesn't matter because money is an illusion. These things are all illusions. Same thing with crime, murder. Well, this is kind of the way the socialists work, is they redefine murder so that it's not actually murder anymore because they've redefined it. And what happens is that take the equation that all politicians are bad. Then if all politicians are bad, they're the schoolyard bullies. Then you want a politician who's going to be around you the least, where you have the least amount of government, so that you can actually get up and actually do something. If you're an activist and you want to get up and do something, but the government's in the way and say, no, only the government can do this. Only the government can have an agency that helps people, because this is government employment. This is how government does the job creation, is through its own agencies, creating these massive bureaucracies. If you're competing with a bureaucracy, that bureaucracy is going to work to shut you down if you're an independent. Because bureaucracies function in many ways like a large corporation. They don't want competition. So if you're out there as an activist trying to help people and you're running into a government agency that has doing the same thing, guess what? You're not going to be able to do your work. You're not going to be able to help those people, or that person, because the government's going to step in and say, "Hey, no, you can't do it because we need to run the show. You have to do it through us. You have to ask us permission for funding. You have to ask us for the amount of funding you want." If we decide to give it to you, and we'll give it to you on our terms and conditions. In other words, they have their own terms and conditions that they want you to follow in order for you to help these people out. You may not agree with all of them, and more often than not, most people won't agree with them. But that's the way it is. So if you're an independent and you actually want to be an activist and actually do something, then you vote for Trump, because Trump will do this. He's going to go into his country club with all his Republican friends, his corporate friends, and they're going to shut the door and leave you alone. The Democrats will be in their country club, but they're going to send their people out, their minions out, to every nook and cranny, to every home, to every hovel, and they're going to be in your face 24/7. This is the difference between voting for a conservative or voting for a liberal. The liberal is going to be around you, and the government is going to be around you 24/7. You're going to have a massive bureaucracy, and only the government can do things. If you have a conservative government, which is probably usually small, they're going to underfund the government. There's not going to be a lot of government around. That means if you want to go in to help a poor person, there's no government agency to stand in your way. You go ahead and do that. And this is why it's more of a pragmatic reason that you're actually voting for Trump, because you can actually get up and do something. The thing is, most of these Bernie Sanders supporters who are calling themselves liberal and care about the people, let's look at all the wars that Obama, Clinton, and John Kerry have created over the 8 years. There's Libya, there's Syria. They're starting wars they started a war in Ukraine after overthrowing the elected government, and now then blamed it on Russia. They're trying to start a third world war with Russia. They're fighting with China, right? They've got demands and warships off the Chinese coast. Is this peace? Where are all the peace protesters? Where are all these so-called liberal left protesting that? And Rahm Emanuel, who's now the mayor of Chicago. Look at the number of blacks who've been killed in Chicago. Look at the murder rate in Chicago, and these are primarily black people. If black lives really matter, why isn't anybody protesting this? So what you see in the media, what you see with the left of the Bernie Sanders people, and this is why I say if you're really an independent, and this is going to for independent, why vote for Trump? Because you get rid of all that other crap that's happening with the left. You're getting rid of the lies. If this left who says, oh, this is what government is, it's better to have little or no government than to have a lot of really bad government. That way you, the person, the individual, can get in there, you can create a charity, you can create your own philanthropic society, and you can actually fill in the gaps and do something good. So this is the reason why you vote for Trump. I started talking about this in the last episode, but it needed to be brought up more. And the thing is that most of the supporters of Hillary's who are really robotic, they simply follow mantras. And I think a lot of the Bernie Sanders people are like this too. They kind of just sold out because they're following the same line that Hillary Clinton's talking about. They know things if Hillary Clinton is elected that they're going to go to the left. This is the way the UN is like that. The UN has gone completely to the left, and the Democrats are a left-leaning UN type of politician. And so if the UN has gone that way, it doesn't matter if you elect Hillary Clinton because she's going to go that way anyways. It doesn't matter what her personal opinion is. The establishment has gone to the left, has gone to the UN, gone to the Council of Foreign Relations, and this is the way they're going to approach things. And you can see this globally in Canada, in Poland, and everywhere that the UN is sort of actively involved and has these human rights commissions. It's all the same thing. It's all the same arguments. And I think, but yet at the same time, they're not doing anything. As I said, there's no in Europe, right? They talk about open, free sexual society, right? And they're teaching. They're proud of, oh, we're teaching this from 6 years old on up. We're teaching sex education. But no word about the fact that Europe right now is the leading destination for sexual slavery. Women and children who are being trafficked end up more often than not in Europe. The more sexually open the place is, the more likely you'll find a sexual slave. Someone who has been brought there, put into brothels to service the demand. And typically they're teenagers. They're typically between the ages of 14 and say 21 is the top. And they're there to serve the needs of these so-called free open sexual society. They've made that demand. And they're not talking about it. They have some of the statistics out there, and occasionally they'll bring it up, but it's not something that's on the forefront. You don't have feminists going out there and protesting about this. It's simply just swept under the rug. This is what socialism, this is what Bernie Sanders, this is what Hillary Clinton is. Most of these feminists, I would say, are bullshit artists. They don't really mean what they say, because you can actually see the results on the ground. You can see it with Monica Lewinsky. You can see it with the Ohio rape case. Steubenville, and we'll talk about this more. But we'll talk more about rape culture and get into that type of stuff as well in here. We'll do more in depth in something called Headlines and Beyond. This is sort of a bit of a discussion. So, anyways, I'll talk to you in the next issue and next edition of TweetLines Plus. All right, take it easy.
Provoke, inform, and change. We deal with issues that other networks won't.
Welcome to the library, and I am the librarian. I am the professor. And professor of what? Professor of physics.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light?
Free speech rules here at Democratic Earth.